By the paper and water right now. It's really hard.
Right.
In some places, you're not going to be able to until they resupply. So,
I mean, we still have airports, bus stations, and train stations open, right? I mean, I don't know that
you still can fly state to state. Will that last? I don't know.
I mean, you can't shut down travel inside the United States
You can't?
of America.
I don't know if you can't. I don't know.
United States of America.
I was just reading this article this morning talking about what's constitutional in mitigating the spread of pandemics. Public closures, a ban on gatherings, quarantine notices, and orders for isolation have become increasingly common in the United States as the coronavirus spreads. Officials in Washington State and San Francisco are limiting the number of people allowed to attend public gatherings. The governor of California joined them on Thursday in urging the cancellation of all events with more than 250 people in attendance.
Every state. I mean, they're down to 100 people or less now.
The governor of Kentucky, a Bible Belt state, has asked churches and other religious institutions to temporarily cancel services. As I said, my church has done that.
Globally.
Yep.
Not just in a couple of states.
But, according to the article, if it seems these actions are infringing on individual freedoms guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, think again.
Oh.
James G. Hodge said,
Love James.
You don't have a right to assemble against the backdrop of known public health risk.
Oh, wait.
According to you, James. But I'm sorry. That's just not the case. Now, I shouldn't be arguing with James G. Hodge because he is the director for the Center for Public Health and Law Policy at Arizona State University.
Okay. Well, then.
So I throw my hands up.
Back off.
I surrender, James. I mean, you must know. He said, as the number of COVID-19 cases climb, the types of aggressive measures taking place in some parts of the country will be used elsewhere, and it will get worse.
Okay, so how do you do that?
That doesn't mean it is constitutional. Now, you're interpreting it that it is.
Right.
But it's not. That doesn't make it, because James Hodge just says from Arizona State that it's constitutional. I'm sorry, I'm not taking that to the bank. Bank's probably closed anyway, because there's...
there you go. And I was thinking about that yesterday, too. When does that happen?
Yeah.
But... how do you do that in the United States? Now, you say, do you do it like you say, no, you can't leave this neighborhood. No, you can't leave this city. No, you can't leave this area.
And you're going to, if you want to enforce that,
travel in the United States of America.
You'd need the National Guard. You'd have to call out the military to do that. Because people they're not going to abide by that. Shut up. I'm not staying in my neighborhood. You can't tell me that. This is still the U.S., and there is still a Constitution, and I'll go where I want, and people will defy it. So if you really want to enforce it, you're going to do that with the National Guard. Is that what you want to do to the American populace?
I guess. I mean, and the only way to actually do that, right, if you got a couple of people looking to get out of the neighborhood and you shoot one, if I'm the third car back, I'm like, you know what, I'll go back home. I'm good. Let me back this thing up.
And you would hope that wouldn't happen, but
I know.
It might.
It
might. You remember the New Orleans situation, right, where they took the guns from people in Katrina, unconstitutionally took their guns. The National Guard went door to door and took people's guns away from them. And one of the National Guardsmen was quoted as saying, I'd rather be in Iraq doing this. I don't want to do this to the public, because you just think of what if something goes wrong and the reporter filled in and you have to shoot a citizen. Yeah. It's like, yeah. So, I mean, this has been discussed before in the United States.
How about you defy the order? How about that?
Yeah, right. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, do you? I don't know.
They
you hope that they do.
They didn't in New Orleans. They went door to door and unconstitutionally took people's guns from them.
Other than the harm of taking their weapons, though, they didn't harm it.
No, they didn't hurt anybody, which is great, because it could have gone the other way.
Yes.
You could have had somebody really belligerent saying, you're not taking them from me.
And you say that, not say that. I mean, every person got their gun and ammo back, right? I mean, they returned every weapon, a piece of artillery, all of it.
Because they're so concerned about not infringing on people's rights permanently. But no, they did not.
They took copious notes on what they took.
They took zero notes on what they took from
address.
people. And thousands of people did not get their guns back. We were talking about a time when the U.S. Constitution was just dangling by a thread. In fact, they snipped the thread in New Orleans, and they ignored the Second Amendment, and they went out and confiscated guns during the Katrina crisis. Check this out. It can happen here.
Today in New Orleans, they got a lot tougher on the holdouts.
Police department, anyone home?
Not only the flooded areas, but New Orleans' driest and wealthiest neighborhoods, too.
Police department!
The police and National
Look at this,
Guard
though.
going street by street, house to house.
We need to make sure,
Hard to
too,
believe.
that whenever we knock on doors, people refuse to leave. We need to make note, call it in.
They say there are no orders to use force, just strong persuasion, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn,
Huh.
and instructions to disarm anyone inside.
And how are you going to do that if they resist? There's no instructions to... I mean, if somebody would have resisted, what would you have done?
Strong persuasion.
That's pretty strong persuasion, a gun pointed at your head or whatever.
Half a dozen or more
Troops in your
in
living
your
room?
house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what can happen, even in the United States, when we lose perspective and just go crazy over a disaster of some sort, whether it's an epidemic or whether it's a weather-related disaster. We still have to maintain the United States Constitution. It's critical.